Is this the possible pricing for the RTX 4000 series? With a lot of people really upset at RTX 3000 not being able to get one, they're thinking of waiting, but is that going to be a good idea? Let's talk about some of these possible prices. Hey guys, Tiago with Classical Technology. Remember to subscribe and smash that like button if you like content like this. So today, let's talk about this possible suggested RTX 4000 pricing. Now, to be clear, we're still very far away from a potential RTX 4000 launch, and even Nvidia up to the last minute will change the prices themselves. This is just fun to sort of speculate where the price may fall depending on what happens with manufacturing and all of the recent trends that we've seen that are really pushing these prices up a considerable amount. Why should you care about RTX 4000 pricing? Well, like many people, they're frustrated with the current situation in RTX 3000. A lot of them either have older GPUs or previous generation and they really wanted to upgrade and they have not done so because they couldn't find the GPU they wanted at the price close to MSRP, or they just flat out could not find the GPU, and with whatever you have, you're sort of just playing games and it's still working okay. But a lot of people will be looking at the RTX 4000, not only with pricing and the usual performance gains that we expect, but they may be thinking maybe by then the shortage issue will be far behind us and you'll be able to walk into a store or go online and be able to order these GPUs without having to wait for days or even pay really high scalper pricing. So let's go through this supposed suggested list. Let's see if we think it's realistic and where these prices may actually land. So the first one on the list, that's going to be the RTX 4050 and the 4050 or 4050 Ti, or Ti as the Nvidia guy called it. Now at 279 and 329 respectively, you can see that these are already priced considerably higher than like a 1050 Ti or a 1050 of the previous generation. We don't really even have too much info on the 3050 or the 3050 Ti to be able to gauge if this is going to be a good price or not. The only comparison we have is the 3060 at 329. So as you can see, a 4050 Ti is going to be about the same price as the current generation 3060 according to this. The way Nvidia does it, usually you can expect at least 3060 level performance from something like the 40 Ti. So that would certainly be interesting, albeit very expensive. And likewise, you could expect AMD with their like 6600 XT, the 7700 XT, or whatever comes next. You can expect them to also raise these prices. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. Unfortunately, the lower end GPUs, we don't even have a good basis for a 3050 Ti to really be able to tell what's going to happen. But if it's like any GPUs that we've seen, like the 1660 Ti, even those were selling for considerably higher prices than they really should have, and they've been on the market for a couple of years now. So we certainly can expect these GPUs to certainly creep up to that price. Now, where it gets a little more interesting is the RTX 4060. Now, this is priced like a 3060 Ti, and which was already pretty expensive. People were expecting these GPUs to be priced maybe $50 to $100 lower than they actually were. So to spend $400 MSRP on a 4060, I mean, depending on the performance bump, you could expect this GPU maybe to start getting really close or matching the current 3070. Hard to know exactly how the specs are. Hard to know if there's going to be a gigantic leap in technology where it could be even more, and then the price justification certainly will change considerably. But from what we know now and what we know about Nvidia's usual 10 to maybe 15% incremental performance gains every year, I think that $399 for 4060, considering everything we've been through with the supply chains and everything like that, that's still, I think, well within the realm of reason. Now, where things really start to get dicey, that's going to be the 4060 Ti at $499. Now, way back years ago, that's really the price of the highest end GPU. Generally, $500 will get you something very high end. Even the 1080 was $599, not far from this. So to be $499 for 4060 Ti, which is basically going into the mid-range, it's like an entry-level upper kind of GPU. This is where the pricing certainly really starts to get very spicy. $500 for 4060 Ti, that's about $100 more than the current 60 Ti. And remember, we're talking about MSRP prices here. We know that the street prices of these GPUs, for example, a 3060 usually sells for well over $700. So you can imagine if the street price is already that high, if this trend continues until the RTX 4000, those street prices would be even higher on the secondhand market. So 4060 Ti, 500 bucks, I don't like it at all. I think it's really pushing that mid-range and that sort of more budget GPU completely out of the scope of many gamers. And I think there's going to be problems with PC gaming if 4060 Ti's are $500. I don't think it's going to fly well unless the demand is really continuously there for years and years and good games start coming out. I could see that being highly, highly problematic to sort of the PC gaming scene in general. But things get a little bit crazier from there, and this is where it starts to get really bad. A 4070, 799 bucks. Now, this possible predicted pricing goes even far beyond what a 3080 was MSRP'd at 699. So, as you can see, I don't think people are going to really want to stomach a 4070 at the pricing of what a 3080 used to be. Now, we all understand that scalper prices and secondhand prices for, a 3070 reached as high as $1,500, but it doesn't mean that people liked paying it or that they're going to accept it from somebody like Nvidia directly or from one of the, third-party partners. Even though that's the number that's out there on the market in terms of scalper pricing, if Nvidia tries to sell a 4070 for $799, they're not going to have too many happy customers. I mean, people were really happy that at $699, the 3080 presented such awesome performance value, but to make it a 470 at $799, even if the performance is better than a 3080 and tremendous, people aren't going to like that price point. It would be better if they changed the naming or something like that in order to at least make it seem like a different GPU, or else I don't think it's going to work out too well, and it starts to get a little bit worse with the 4080 at $1199. Everything from here on out really gets worse with the pricing. That's the price of the current 3080 Ti, and people said that was very overpriced compared to the current 3080. So to have a 4080 jump up to $1199, that's certainly going to be very, very sketchy. I don't think people are going to like that at all. Then of course it continues to get worse. A 4080 Ti at $1,999, surpassing even the 3090. Remember, when the 3090 came out, people saw $1,500 MSRP versus $700 MSRP of the 3080, and people did not like that at all. It was really not a good performance value for the money because the 3080 was very close in performance to a 3090, albeit the 24 gigabytes of VRAM certainly is very interesting for content creators and certain games that can take advantage of that. But at almost twice the price, or more than twice the price, the performance really was just a few percentage points higher. So to have that 4080 Ti be over $2,000 or close to $2,000, certainly that's when the price trends get really, really sketchy. Then of course the 4090 at basically 3,000 bucks. I mean, this would be a workstation or like Titan level GPU. So I mean, people have bought GPUs at this price point, but to have it amongst sort of the gaming lineup of GeForce cards and have it at $3,000, unless really things are very, very bad when these GPUs come out in a year or 2 years where manufacturing never catches up, I really don't think these prices are going to be very realistic at all. So let's look at the fact of the secondhand market and if people can actually stomach these prices. Now, if we take a look at most 3090s now, they seem to be selling anywhere from that $2,000 to maybe $2,600 range, and that's going to be for the beefier 3090s like perhaps the Kingpin or something like that. Now, back in May, when Ethereum was really high, some of these 3090s did reach well over $3,000. Some, like the Kingpin, probably got close to $3,800 to $4,000 on the scalper market. So people did buy them. So you could see that a $3,000 4090, sure, some people can buy them, but in general, you can see 3090s above $2,400 do stay on the shelves considerably longer, even considering their potency for cryptocurrency mining. So I think 4090, unless the performance is just astronomically amazing compared to everything that we have now in both gaming and maybe even in mining applications and workstation, unless it's just the perfect card, I'm not sure that the market can really sustain a GPU that expensive. And likewise, if we compare the 4080 Ti being more expensive than most 3090s, that's gonna really be a tough sell once again because people were already reluctant to buy the 3090 at its MSRP. Now imagine a 4080 Ti, which is a tier below, that's gonna knock out pretty much most people that are looking for GPUs, and they're gonna go back to looking for a 20 series or a 30 series GPU. So My point is, just because the used scalper market has supported some of these very, very high prices, I mean, 3080s were going for as much as $2,000. I don't really see them from Nvidia being priced this high. I think these suggested prices are just way too high. I mean, the more budget GPUs, there isn't as big of a room or gap there to really increase that price considerably. But when we start looking at the higher end GPUs, I think it's very, very high. I doubt Nvidia is going to raise the prices by this much. My guess, if it was going to be very realistic, I think Nvidia may actually raise the prices, but maybe by $100 to $200. So that means that maybe a 4080 may come in at $799 or $899, at least the Founders Edition MSRP. Then, of course, the third-party AIBs are free to price it how they wish, maybe $1,000 or $1,100, and something like a 4090, maybe instead of $1,500, that may be $1,700 or $1,600. But I really doubt Nvidia would basically double the price of the 90 series GPU. That big of a price gap really just hasn't existed at all, even considering the current situation with manufacturing delays. So I think even if Nvidia brings tremendous performance gains over the 3000 series generation, which already perform very, very well, even having that, it's going to be very hard to price it at twice the price. I think a few $100, $100 to $200 on most GPUs, certainly reasonable to expect if manufacturing delay continues, but otherwise very unrealistic. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think of all these prices. I think these suggested prices are certainly a little bit too high, but let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys on the next video.